Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers Inspiration. I'm your host, Harriet Cole. As always, honored to be here with you now, whether now is in the moment live or on demand, because we love that technology allows us to do this. I have to tell you, I have been running into people all over who tell me that they do tune in to this broadcast of Dreamleapers as well as our Saturday interview series. And I just want to say thank you. I'm so grateful that people do tune in and that it is worth your while, as my mother used to say, to tune in and fill your cup, I hope. I have been in a lot of different people's company in the past couple of weeks. It's been busy, out and about busy, in the weirdest weather ever. So I'm in New York City, and I was here and then out on Long Island these past couple of weekends. The weather has been hot, cold, everything in between. My daughter is in the Midwest, and there was a tornado warning last week with softball size hail that was hitting cars and you know buildings. Crazy, really tumultuous time, literally, with our environment. And I find that when things are kind of not even in our surroundings, it often makes things not even inside. Do you ever feel like that? I am sure that there's a scientific explanation. I'm pretty sure that this is true, what I'm saying, not just an idea that I have. And if I were talking to a scientist, I'm sure a scientist could explain why it's happening. Something about barometric pressure and how it impacts the body. And then if you talk to spiritual folks, how it impacts the spirit. I don't know the official understanding of these things, but I know from paying attention to my life and the people around me and the service work that I've been doing for so many years, I see that when things are topsy-turvy with the environment, they are often like that in the inner world. And so I, as always, have been thinking about my family, my mother, my grandmother, my father, my family. And one of the things that they often would say to my sisters and me is just to pay attention. It's so obvious. This is not anything that's exclusive to my family. Uh, Hello, Miriam. How are you? Welcome, everybody. Um, let's see. Katrina just signed in. Yeah, let me know when you're here. Tell me where you are. As I have been out and about in the company of lots of different people, these are when I'm working. It's obviously not people who well, you always choose who you're with, but it's not as curated as if it's every single person that you're with is somebody you chose. But paying attention to who's around you is important. Now, we all understand this as it relates to safety, and especially if you live in a big city. Like I live in New York. I remember now. So what I was going to say is, you have to pay attention to your surroundings when you're in a big city and there are a lot of people. When I first moved to New York, which was many moons ago, I was 23, I think. I'm from Baltimore. I lived in Washington. So Baltimore in particular is a very friendly town, or at least where I was. And it was bad manners to walk, like if you faced someone and as you're walking down the street, you greet the person. It was incredibly rude to walk past the person and not say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, something. Eye contact, a smile, something. It was just considered the height of bad manners to do that. And so I was working for Essence when I first moved to New York. And at the time, Essence offices were in Times Square. And Times Square at the time was not like the Disney-esque looking place that it is today. There were many XXX stores, where they showed porn, where they sold VHS tapes of porn. It was seedy. There were a lot of people who were without, a lot of people addicted to drugs, a lot of sadness and desperation. And at the time, I was in New York. I was so excited, and I get off the subway and walking down the street going to my office, and I would walk by people and say hello. So if just the Baltimore in me, somebody passed me, and I would say good morning, good afternoon, good evening with a big smile on my face, just like I have now. And then people started following me. They would follow me down the street. They would try to talk to me, ask me for money, whatever it was. And I didn't have any money to give them, so I wasn't giving money. But I realized I wasn't being discerning. I was I was doing something I had learned that was good manners, but wasn't being discerning, and that was dangerous. In this particular town, when there are thousands of people crossing your path, if you're out and about, it is not appropriate to greet everyone. Depending upon the environment you find yourself in, determines how you engage people. And I didn't really know that then because I hadn't learned it yet. Where in Baltimore and Washington, where I had spent time, um, that wasn't the case. You could greet people and feel safe, at least in the places where I was. I just want to stop for a moment and say hello to the folks who have tuned in. Let's see, we have Photo Soul Media. I love that handle. And let's see, Jackie Ivory, you're in Milwaukee, near my daughter. Let's see. Hi, Virginia. I haven't seen you in a minute. And by the way, in a few minutes, anybody who wants to come on and talk live with me can do so. Fallon will put the way you can do it. You can sign in through my website, and we're inviting people to participate in the conversation if you would like. And so if you'd like to do that, you go to harrietcole.com/inspiration. It'll bring you into the green room here. And when it's time, I'll bring you on. Literally, you and your face and your voice can come on and talk with me and with those gathered. We used to do this last year and realize we haven't been doing it this year. So if you would like to participate in this conversation, you're welcome to do so. You come in now, and I'll bring you in at the appropriate time. And that's harrietcole.com/inspiration. Anyway, I discovered in the first few months of being in New York that it was not the right thing to greet everyone. A, it was unsafe. B, I had to get to my destination. And if you stop and talk to so many people, you're not going to get to your destination on time, right? So I learned the meaning of tunnel vision. It is important to understand that you can look in the direction where you're headed. You can tune out people around you. You can walk at a clip that is safe for you, and you are aware of your surroundings, but you're not engaging everyone in your surroundings. This is something I learned. It was a lesson I learned in New York City. So today's message is pay attention to who is around you. So if we think that example, that's real obvious. Outside, wherever you are in the world, when you walk outside, do you survey your environment to see who's around you? Do you check to see if you're stepping into a safe space or not? And if so, like many people, you just are on automatic, you just head out the door, boom, 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 you're moving. It's not the safest thing to do. And I'm not saying this for us to be afraid of anything, but just to be conscious of our surroundings. So number one, do that. When you walk out of your house, pay attention. Who's around you? Survey. Left, right, front, back. Who's around you? If you're walking onto a quiet street, does it feel safe? If not, don't walk down that street, right? As you're getting in your car, look around before you open the door. Basic things that are safety. We know these things, but we don't always do them. So I'm reminding us of super basic things to do because it's important. But then I want to get to the deeper place. If you pay attention to who is around you, assess, are these the people who you want to be around you? Are these the people who support your spirit, who align with your values, who help you to feel positive? Or are these people who bring you down, who are always complaining, who are always negative? Are they a combination of all kinds of energy? This is such an important question. And if we are honest with ourselves, most of us have people who are in our inner circle or close who don't deserve to be there. Ask yourself, survey your people. Are any of your people, the people, if you just look at the past week, who was in close proximity to you? Make a list. Who was in close proximity to you? And did you want them there? Do they deserve to be there? You know, how did they get there? Do you intend to let them stay there? These are good questions, and I really want you to think about it. Okay, we've got South Carolina in the house. That's great. Is it warm there? It's not warm here. It's about to get colder. I want you to think, just take a pause and think about who has been in your close company, close to you, like close enough to touch you, to talk on the phone and you chose to talk to them, to be on one of these video services like we are on now, for those of you who are viewing this, and if by sound, those of you who are listening. Who was there, and did they really deserve to be there? Should they be allowed to be there again? And if not, what are you going to do about it? So many of us allow people to be in our inner circle when they don't deserve it. And then we complain when they hurt our feelings, when they trespass over boundaries that we've established, when they are dishonest, when they're unkind, when they do something that violates our values. And we get mad at them for being themselves, because usually people show you who they are and how they are. You know, I write an advice column, and I got a question this week from a young person who was saying, I believe it was a woman, who was saying that she and a friend had talked about going on a trip together. So for any of you who've taken a trip, like a vacation of some sort together with a friend, a vacation costs money. So it costs money and time. You're carving out time to go somewhere you don't want to go by yourself. You're going to go with a friend. This is what this person had said she was going to do, but she was reluctant because she does not want to be the organizer. And she told this to the person who was pushing for them to go on a trip together. And the other person said, oh, of course, I'll help. I'll do, even though I don't usually do that, I'll do it. And getting closer to the deadline for organizing activities and different functions of the trip, that other friend who never organizes anything hadn't organized anything. And so the person writing to me was frustrated. I knew I shouldn't have agreed to go on this trip with her. I don't want to be the one in charge. I don't want to be left with all these things to do. It's not fair. I'm mad at her, blah, blah, blah. As I read the letter and contemplated what was being put forth, what it was clear to me is that the person who was complaining, the writer of the letter, was mad because her friend was being herself. Her friend doesn't organize things, doesn't plan things, doesn't make reservations, doesn't research to figure out how to do whatever it might be that needs to be done, even when prompted. So why would you expect her to do it now? Why are you mad at her for being herself? Good question, right? Now, should she go on a vacation with her? It depends. If she wants to go and she's willing to do the things that her friend is not going to do without having an attitude, sure. If not, maybe she needs to go with somebody else. But to be mad at this person for being herself, in a way, is delusional because you're not being honest with yourself. Just because you want somebody to be a certain way doesn't mean they are that way. So pay attention to who is around you. Do they deserve to be there? Is this who you want to curate into your intimate circle? Right? Fair question. We get mad so often at other people for being themselves instead of realigning ourselves to figure out who we want in our inner circle and why, and who don't we want. So, the quote for today, I often spend glorious time looking up quotes, finding things that wonderful people have said so that we can unpack the quotes. And this time, I didn't have to look anywhere. It's something that I've repeated many times. It comes from my grandmother. It is keep good company. My grandmother and my mother say it. Actually, at first I was going to say Carrie Freeland via Doris Cole. My mother is Doris Cole. But the originator in my world of this saying is Carrie Freeland, my grandmother. So I'm just straight up giving it to her because she gave it to us. Keep good company. Simple, profound. What does it mean? When we keep good company, we curate our lives. We don't just let anybody in, and we don't have to be mean about it at all. We can just be clear. Some people get to be in and some people don't. And the way that you say things helps you to define people's understanding because also not everybody gets to be in all the time. I was at an event this weekend and last weekend, and some lovely people that I was with for part of the day. We were together, and then that part ended. And there were a couple of people I know who were like, "What's happening next?" I wasn't in charge of what was happening next, but also I did not feel like the person or people who were asking were people that necessarily were supposed to be in the next moment. So I didn't feel any discomfort in saying, "We're transitioning to something else and we'll see you later." Not there. I didn't invite them to do that. You don't have to feel bad about curating an experience. Some people get to come to one thing, some people get to come to another. It's okay. It doesn't mean that you are being mean, right? It just means that you are being clear. You're keeping good company, curating good company happens moment to moment, right? Say, by the way, if anybody wants to join this conversation, you can go to harrietcole.com/inspiration and come on and talk with me. If you'd like to give an example of what it has meant for you to keep good company, or even when you haven't done it and how you had to pay the price. So I have plenty of stories of how when I didn't do it, I had to pay the price. I've told this one that I'm going to tell you right now many times, but it's a good reminder for me. Some years ago, I grew close to someone really out of proximity. And by the way, she's a lovely person, very accomplished, very creative. My hat is off to her in terms of all the things that she's been able to do in her life. Very dynamic person. And we became close because of proximity. We know some of the same people. We were moving in the same circles. We lived near each other. And so it was a very natural kind of flow to be in regular conversation with each other. And we became friends. The thing is, I realized something about myself. I'm very sensitive. Sensitive, and for any of you who know me or just even hear me here, I'm also very strong. So sensitive doesn't mean not strong. But it matters how people talk to me. It matters when I like to receive feedback in a loving way. I know what I appreciate. And this person doesn't communicate during tender moments in ways that I appreciate. And I know that. But we had become close. And so there was a moment when things weren't going so well for whatever reason in my world. And I confided in her. And she ripped me a new one. She was unkind, in my estimation. She was very harsh, very direct, like straight, no chaser. There was no softness about it. And it did not help me because I prefer and appreciate tenderness around tender things. And I lashed out and I told her how she hurt my feelings and I didn't like that. And she's like, it all backfired. And I was really mad at her for a while. And I retreated. And in my contemplation about this, what I realized is that this was really my fault. That is so hard to accept, by the way, if something's your fault. I let her into my inner circle. I didn't have to do that. By the way, we're still friends, but not like that. I don't confide in her because I can't trust my heart to her. I didn't say that to her. It doesn't matter. It's an issue for me. I'm the one who had to deal with it. I didn't have to make some great proclamation to her. I had to make the proclamation to myself. This person is not the person for me to share the tender moments with because she doesn't know how to hold my heart. Ask yourself, who are the people who may be part of your intimate world who don't belong there? Are there people who don't belong there, who don't deserve to be there? And also, because even more refined, not everyone who's part of your inner circle serves the same purpose, right? So one person may be good for one type of engagement, and another may be good for a different type. So when you're curating your company, this notion of keep good company and curating the company that you keep, why are people there? Now, many of us just say, I love them. What does that mean? What does love mean? It's such a big but unclear term. And so there's some people who are there and you care about them deeply and you may not even know why they're there, just your heart is open to them. And when that is the case, it doesn't mean that they need to go, but you need to understand what is your relationship with them and what are the boundaries around that relationship. There are boundaries in all relationships. There should be. You should have boundaries for yourself as to what is okay for your engagement with other people, and there's nothing wrong with that. And this notion of keeping good company, people don't necessarily get a lifetime pass on the good company. If their behavior changes, if something they're doing is not working, maybe they have to be put in the outer circles for a bit. I have a friend who has a very close friend, and they are two really strong personalities. And sometimes it's just too much. And they have to kind of retreat to their corners and be still. Like, I can't be in your presence right now. I need to rest. I need to replenish. You are too much right now. I need us to back away for a minute. You can do that. If you have control over yourself, you pay attention to who is around you and determine Who gets to be in your inner circle? And when the dynamics change, you are going to be so much happier and have so much more peace. Don't keep relationships out of guilt. Don't keep people around out of convenience. Be more respectful and attuned to your own being, to your own heart, so that you make smart choices. That's what I tell my daughter all the time. Make smart choices. Make smart choices for yourself, for the community that you have cultivated. And if people don't deserve to be there, don't keep them there. Sometimes you have to tell them. Sometimes you can just walk away. Sometimes you just don't include them in those more intimate experiences. Sometimes you don't have to say a word. It's just what you do. I hope this is resonating with some of you. You can write to me in the chat box and tell me, are you recognizing that there may be people in your world who need to go? That there may be people in your inner circle who don't deserve to be there? When you look around at your inner circle, do you see anybody who's like, why do I still have that person here? How did that person get into this space? Do they still belong here? And if not, what are you going to do about it? I want to know. Write in the chat box. Tell me if you don't have to say who they are, but do you have people that need to be weeded out of your life? And if so, do you think you can do it? Most of us have that because it's life. When you pay attention to who you surround yourself with and curate who gets to be in your inner circle, you can create a more fulfilling life and a life with peace. I am so for peace. I love when I feel, this feels good. I'm in a good place. And by the way, I remember when Barack and Michelle Obama were running for president. I was on the leadership team at Ebony at the time and got to spend some good time around the Obamas. And Michelle Obama said, as they run on the run up to the election, that at this point in her life, she could not welcome more friends. You know, it's hard to know who your friends are when you're in the public eye. It's hard to curate that at that time. So she was holding on to the people she was really close to, and that was going to be her curation. I thought about that and thought, I understand. And also, I'm grateful in my world that I can still welcome people in. And she may now, that was a long time ago. But like in the past year or so, I've made a couple of very good new friends. And, you know, my mother used to say, you can count your good friends on one hand. She was lucky. She had like 2 hands full of friends. When she turned 95 at her birthday party, there were 10 elders who were close to each other who were between 94 and 100. So she was really fortunate. But she said, don't expect that. A handful is enough. I'm fortunate to have a little bit more than a handful of very close friends. And I have made a couple of friends in the past couple of years who I consider like family. And we have marveled at it just this past weekend, how wonderful it is to have welcomed into the fold people who are new and full of light and love and positivity and who feel right for now. If it happened for me, that means it could happen for you. You can cultivate that garden until you leave the earth. Make sure you fill your world with who you deem to be good company. And if they are not, however you need to release them from your inner world, do so. I promise you, you have more joy when you are in control of it. Hi, Laura. And thank you to all of you who joined live and all who will look on demand later. Also, for any of you who want to share this broadcast with your loved ones, um, the link will be there, and I'm happy for you to share it. Also, you can go to harrietcole.com/inspiration, and this week's inspiration will be there. So you could share the link with anyone who you might want to do that. Hello, Brown Style. I love that we are a part of the same tribe. It's all good. I also wanted to say this is the 10th anniversary of Dreamleapers. I started this educational platform 10 years ago. I started Inspiration during the pandemic, but we've been doing Dreamleapers for 10 years, inspiring people to leap into their greatness. And I hope that is exactly what is happening for you. And I just thank you for being there. Lynn Foreman says she's in the process of currently letting relationships go that she has outgrown. That's a big one. Hard but necessary. This week, work on that. Evaluate who belongs in your inner circle. Who belongs in your circle, period. Who doesn't, figure out how to walk away gently, lovingly, but clearly. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, have a great day and make it count. Namaste.